Melissa, it's the
Yeah,
weekend. It's Friday. We are
it
here
is.
doing our thing on the weekend. I'm happy to be here. I'm in a very good mood this weekend. If you can't already tell,
hmm
um, it was a long week. By all means, I shouldn't be happy, but just I like, man, I feel good right now.
That's good. We've
Yeah.
had some soul nourishing advancements this week.
We sure did. We have a lot to talk about this week, and I know we're just gonna be like, oh my god, this is all great. This is all great. Speaking of great, Sam is in the chat and says hello
Hi, Sam.
in all
Hello,
caps.
Sam.
Yeah. Melissa, how are you? How are you feeling this week? You have a very festive, like a Hawaiian shirt, like is that the right
Yeah.
word? You say festive for a
I
Hawaiian
suppose,
shirt?
like anything can be festive. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the month of December, I think anything can be festive if you bring the right spirit to it. Yeah. I don't know. Tonight's episode feels like a party. So I'm going to dress like it's a party.
Kind of does. Have you spent Christmas somewhere where it's warm?
Only when warm happens here. I don't
No.
go to warm.
Gotcha. I've spent Christmas one year in Australia, and so it
Wild.
was like 90 degrees outside, and it was great. I love the heat and the warm weather, but to like experience that once was just like, this is what we're missing out on. I like it. Yeah. Good stuff.
It would be fun to try
That's-
once.
That's what your shirt reminds me of.
Yeah, an Australian Christmas.
Mhm.
Good day.
Indeed. Good on you, mate. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to number 123 of the Whatnauts Captain's Log 123.
Wait till you see what we're planning next.
Yeah, it's easy as ABC. I'm excited to be here. My name is Kyle Springer, and I am joined as always by Melissa Wilkinson.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I normally followed that up with asking you how you are, but I already asked you how you are.
I can be
So-
a lot of ways. So, last night, I accidentally got lost in a Criminal Minds fan discussion.
Did you just like stumble down the wrong Wikipedia page and like
So I'm a big fan of this podcast called We Got This with Mark and Hal. And it's these two guys that just settle arguments like, should you put ketchup on a hot dog? French fries or onion rings? Fold your toilet paper over or under, like every petty little thing like that. It's a
Sure.
podcast dedicated to dumb arguments. And they were doing a live show last night. And their special guest was actress Paget Brewster, who performed with them in the Thrilling Adventure Hour audio drama podcast.
Oh.
This is where I know everybody from. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, I'm excited. I love this podcast. I love, that cast of actors. I'm going to tune into this live show. And and the live show's got like a little chat function with it. And I'm like, who else here loves this podcast, huh? Big Thrilling Adventure Hour fans? It was exclusively Criminal Minds fans
That's
just there for
funny.
Paget Brewster, who seemed to not know what the podcast was. It was very daunting. I closed out of it. I'm like, I don't understand your references. It was a very surreal time.
that's an interesting thing to like stumble into though. Just like, oh, I now suddenly feel out of place.
Right. And like, this is
I don't
supposed
know
to be
what's
for
going
me,
on
the
here
person that's
exactly.
been listening to this podcast for 6 years. No,
Right.
you're talking about a TV show I've never seen
Yeah.
that's only tangentially related to this podcast. But it was a good, fun show. I'm sitting here on my bed, all curled up with my laptop, and then my roommate walks in like, here, I made cocoa. So out of nowhere, I get a cocoa. It was an early miracle. And this was happening at the same time as this
Interesting
Disney
night.
call. So, like, we got miracles out there. I get my own little miracle here in my own room in the form of a cocoa, because my barrier for miracles is very low.
There you go. Well, before we get into all of the big Disney, Marvel, and Star Wars stuff that I know we are going to be talking about, Melissa, you have an update for I don't know why I'm blanking on the name. Melissa's audio drama corner. AKA the corner is her ears.
AKA the corner is my desk. This is where I do my audio drama listening. Yeah, normally I have a cinema corner. I have watched movies this week. You know, I'm still chugging along with my James Bonds, but I've been deep into audio dramas lately. I might save some of this for next week just so that I can have more time to talk about audio dramas. But thought I would update you. I finished my re-listen of Black Tapes. It's still great.
Good. Did you pick up on like new stuff this time, or?
Not really. I think this is like my crime procedural show. I think I've figured out. Like, you know, there's people that will just watch Law and Order continually as like soft, warm background noise.
Yeah.
And like, it's a mystery and like a murder, like content wise, but it strikes you as like, oh, I'm putting on my old sweater. Oh, it's Law and Order time. It's the same pattern every time. I can always count on Law and Order for comfort. I think this is me with fake investigative journalism podcasts. Like, it's the same pattern. They're all kind of melodramatic. Like, they don't. Yeah. Like, I know how all of them are gonna wrap up, kind of.
Serial was so popular that it was just like, oh, well, that's the thing we do now. Like that's just how it's done.
Yes. So. I've never listened to Serial. I've only listened to fake Serial, but I love fake Serial. And like, I'll put on fake Serial anytime, and I like won't even hardly take it in, but the sound of it just warms me.
Not to be confused with like Serial the food. This is Serial the podcast.
Fake
SERIAL.
Yeah, I'm not listening to fake Rice Krispies that don't go Snap Crackle Pop. They go some knockoff, legally distinct Snap Crackle Pop.
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes Snip Crickle Pip, so they can't sue us. No, but Black Tapes was a satisfying re-listen. I think that's my favorite of that of like that whole area of podcast, your Pacific Northwest stories. I love Alex and Dr. Strand so much. I'm still charmed by them. I can listen to this podcast eternally and still be charmed by it, I think. Not eternally, but like I can hear myself. I can see myself hearing this podcast again, like every couple years for a long time. Just like, oh, it's been like 3 years. Let's listen to all of Black Tapes again. And then like 3 years after that, it's like, I got to check in with my old friends, you know, just hear about the upside down faces and bilocation more again.
Ghosts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So our document says you've also listened to one. There's two more that I don't know about. Fairy and the Right Left game.
Oh, Fairy is also from that. It's also a Pacific Northwest story. It's like in that same universe by some of those same people. And it's about
out of the loop because I didn't know about that one.
It's a Spotify exclusive. I think I posted about it in our Discord a couple months ago.
Wait a minute.
This came out.
Yeah.
It came out like May. Yeah, okay. I finally listened to all of it this week.
I vaguely remember you posting that or them having some like Spotify exclusive one.
Yeah, it's just about like this journalist, new characters, although Nick and MK from Tannis do show up briefly, and they are a highlight. It's just about this journalist who like saves a man from walking into traffic and getting hit by a bus, and then I don't know how they get to talking about this, but he's like, hey, I used to work for a secret department of the government that hid knowledge of fairies from people. And I think fairies are back, and I need you to help me get my story out there. And she's like, fairies, real, huh? Let's spend 12 episodes on this.
Okay. Interesting.
It's an interesting
like that
premise.
one.
It didn't click with me. It didn't click with me as much as the other stories have, but this is like what secured that Law and Order thing in my head. Like, yeah, even if it doesn't compel me, I still want to listen to all of it.
Okay.
Like, just for the warm, comfortable patterns of it. It's
Comfort
so
food.
familiar. All of that stuff. Like, you can take that format and plug anything into it, and I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Even if after I'm done, I'm like, I couldn't tell you what happened, but it was nice to listen to for like a couple work days.
Yeah. And so then what is the far or the right left game?
I might talk about this next week, because I'll tell you what I've been thinking, Kyle, and I forgot to mention to you before we started podcast, which would have been a professional choice. We don't have any tradition or thing in mind for our last Captain's Log of the year. We've never developed a template for that episode. How about we spend next week looking back at our favorite new media of the year?
Okay. Sure.
Like, besides everything we covered on the review show, let's talk about all the stuff we watched in our private lives and, like, break it down into the year. What were your favorite movies, favorite shows, favorite audio dramas you listened to?
I'm down with that. We could definitely do something.
I'm going to sequester
like
that one. I'm going to sequester that one to next week. I'm going to table that so that we can devote more time this week to Marvel news.
Yes. One last thing, though, before we get to that. I mentioned last week that I was bumping something to this week. So I'm going to briefly tell you all of my nightmare phone call with my parents. Because I don't understand how they are that bad with technology. Right? Like, I understand that they didn't grow up with computers and stuff like that, but we've had computers for a long time now, for going on 40 years ish, right? Like a home computer. Like,
sure.
That technology has been around, give or take, around 40 years ish. So they've been around as this technology was developing longer than I've been alive, and yet I understand it better, which is fine. Like, I don't blame them for that stuff, but there's certain things, like one of the things that my mom will always mention every so often, or the things she will say, is just like, well, how would I have known this? Like, how am I supposed to know this stuff, you know? And I don't have a response for her, except for, well, like every other person, you have to teach yourself. like for some reason, for them, they've gotten to a point, which respectfully, like they've gotten to that age where, sure, that's fine, but they just like have gotten to this point where they just stopped learning and refused to do it. Just like, we don't want to learn anything else. We are done. We are at max capacity for our knowledge, and it makes no sense to me. Like, I continually want to be like, ooh, I could teach myself this. I could teach myself that. You know, and it's just small things of like, ooh, I could learn more about Batman, or I could learn to code something, or
we all could.
Yeah, right. So my parents were looking into getting a new TV, and they eventually bought one. They came to me for some advice, and I was like, well, actually, I don't know all of the brands out there and stuff like that, but I know basically, like, top of the line stuff, you want to get an LG OLED. And so that's what they bought. They bought an LG OLED, I think for like a 2020 model. So This one was like top of the line, brand new.
They're that committed to having, like, they didn't just want a good TV, they wanted the best TV.
Well, they have a decent TV. They wanted one that was slightly bigger. And they wanted one that was a little more update, just to future proof them, as we are now heading more into 4K and stuff like that, right? They have a fine TV, but they wouldn't want, like, hey, this is going to be our last one that we get. This is the one we have till we kick it. And
oh my God, I can't imagine knowing I'm buying the TV I'm gonna watch when I die.
It's a weird thing to think about, right? But so they bought that, and they called me when they got it to help them set it up. Like, I knew this was a thing that we were about to do, and so I helped them out. And the first thing, I'm like, okay, well, you've got the box there, that's good, you can lay that there. The first thing you need to do is turn everything off from your old TV and unplug it. And that took so much longer than it should have, just to be like, wait, so how do I do this? Just go in the back, grab the cord from the part where it's plugged in to the TV, and unplug them. All of them? Yes, all of them. Because I'm going to have you move the TV. And then they're like, okay, we got them all. Okay, now move the TV. Well, there's still this one in it. Okay, but you just told me that all of it was unplugged. Well, except this one. Okay, well, unplug that one. It was just like, what are you doing? Like, unplug all of them, right?
Yeah.
And they finally did that. They moved the TV. They get the new one out, and they put the new one up there. And now I was like, okay, now you need to plug the things back in. However, you don't need to plug all of them back in. Your old TV is a dumb TV. You now have a smart TV.
So they don't need those red, white, yellows.
Yeah, all of that. They had a nice one with an HDMI, but they had a Roku.
Okay, yeah.
And I was like, you don't need that. Basically, the Roku is built in, even though it's not a Roku. And so I was like, you only need to plug in your DVD player, your Blu-ray DVD player, which is just an HDMI cord. So grab the HDMI cord that's plugged in to the Blu-ray player and plug it in to the one that says HDMI 1. They figure that out. Thank God. And then they're like, okay, how do we get like Netflix and stuff like that? And I was like, okay, you want to hit the button that says home. There is no button that says home. Okay, is there a button that I don't know, maybe looks like a house? Oh yeah, we have that one. It's like, okay, like I can see how it's not exactly the same, but it's the same thing, right? Hit that button. Okay,
yeah, I think older people get confused when you say a button will say something. Like, I think they're expecting everything to be very clearly labeled with a word. Like, there's just going to be a word on everything.
Yeah.
Like many introductory home PCs had. You know, used to have a button that said start, and now it's just like the Windows logo. And it's only if you hover over it, it says start.
Yeah, so like that's kind of the thing that I'm eventually getting at, is there's a language that we built up.
Yeah.
The play button still looks like the play button, but they're like, I had to, like, at one point I was like, okay, now hit the up button, and they're like, what's the up button? And I was just like,
that one.
The one,
I don't understand that
arrow
one.
pointing up, that like you have a button that looks like a cross. Hit the one that's on the top. Like I don't know how to explain that without being like it's the up button. Like it's just the button to go
Yes.
up. Like how do you not know that? So yeah, there was stuff like that, but the actual nightmare thing was like, okay, what if we want to install YouTube? And I was like, okay, you need to go to you need to hit the home button so that the menu pops up. It might already be on there, so you just have to look through the apps that are on there and sign in. And it was not there, so I was like, okay, what you need to do is hit the search button. It's the one that looks like a magnifying glass. They found that, they typed in YouTube, they downloaded the YouTube app, and then my dad starts signing in with his Gmail. And I'm about to put my parents on blast a little bit.
Okay.
This is the thing where it's like, okay, I can't really blame them for some of this, but just it got real bad. My mom is a cancer survivor, so she has chemo brain, where her short-term memory is not the greatest, and she gets very exhausted very fast. And when she gets exhausted, she has a bad habit of becoming very belligerent and just wanting to start fights and just being like extra emotional and stuff like that. And my dad starts signing in, and then just out of nowhere, it hits my mom, and she's just like, "What? How is he signing in?" It's like, that's his email. He said, "What email is he signing in with? He doesn't have a YouTube account." Yeah, he does. He has a Gmail email account. That's the only email he's had for a long time. He's shown you videos on YouTube before. That's how he signed in. Like, he's had this account for a long time because YouTube is owned by Google, which owns Gmail. So they automatically give you a YouTube account. No, he's never had YouTube. He has a secret YouTube account. Why didn't he what else is he not telling me about this? And I'm just sitting there like, oh my God, this is not happening right now. Like, no, Mom, he does not have a secret YouTube account. This is just, he automatically has, like, I don't know how else to explain this besides he's not going behind your back to watch cat videos. Like, I don't know what else.
He saw David after dentist without me.
And it just like, and then I was like, Mom, don't worry. We can sign in with your account. What was that?
Did it happen again? Did I fall into the quantum realm?
Yeah, we're still getting laggy. So, what was the comment that you said there?
Man, we've just slowed down for this dumb joke. All I said was you watched David after dentist without me.
Right? Yeah. And so my mom is upset.
So you're glad we backtracked for this reference to a viral video from 2007?
It's great. It's great. But yeah, so my mom is upset, and I'm like, Mom, don't worry. We can sign in with your account. We can switch back and forth, all of that stuff. And it took me maybe an hour to get them to sign in to YouTube. Yep. An
hour from the button that says sign in to you are now signed in?
Yes, and to get both of them signed in to
goodness.
Sign in to like stop the argument and all that stuff. And my dad was like, I've had it. I'm going to go do something else, blah, 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 you know. And then I find out by the end of that, so this whole time, I'm not just on the phone with them, I'm on a FaceTime call, and my dad has it flipped so that when he's holding his phone, like the camera that's on the back is pointed at the screen.
Mm.
And by time my mom gets the phone, she, I guess, didn't realize that they had it set up like that, which doesn't make sense because the screen is right there on her screen, so she can see what's going on there. But I'm like, okay, I don't know what the screen is happening right now. Can you point the camera at the screen? And so she's like, like this. I'm like, no, Mom, I'm looking at you right now. Can you point the camera at the screen? Like this, and she holds the phone sideways, or like she holds the phone with like the screen facing the TV. Like it's just like all of these, like it's everything but the TV. And I was like, no, it's the camera on the back of your phone. Just hold it in front of your face and point it at the TV. You know what the television looks like. You can figure this out. It's not hard. And it wasn't happening. It wasn't. It just like, I don't know how this is happening. I was just like, this is a nightmare. I cannot do this. So we finally got that all squared away. They called me back like the next day because they got a sound bar, and I had to help them plug that in, which was not as difficult. But yeah, it was a nightmare. So that's my story.
I feel bad for you being an only child.
Yeah,
because there's 3 of us. We can all tag team out. Somebody else can handle it. I've rested. Tim will do it. Man,
yeah, it's only me. Only me. And so yeah, I found out when they called me back for the sound bar that they didn't tell me, but they thought their DVD player was broken. And I was like, whoa, what do you mean it's broken? Like, it just sits there on the thing. Like, did you spill water on it? They're like, I don't know what's wrong with it. I was like, okay, well, can you show me? Can you turn it on? And they're like, oh, well, the remote hasn't worked. That's what's wrong with it. I was like, okay, well, can you get the remote? And they're like, oh, we threw it out. And I was just like, what? That's like, why would you throw out the remote for your DVD player when you need that? And then I remembered that last year I got them a universal remote. So I was like, oh, wait, you need to get the universal one. So they get that. And then they explained that the universal remote also hasn't been working. So I was like, oh, that's the remote that you think doesn't work. I was like, okay, well, do you have the actual like DVD player remote? And they weren't sure if they did. They eventually found it, and they start hitting the buttons, and it's not working. I was like, well, are there batteries in it? And they're like, oh, I don't know. And they open it up, and of course, there's no batteries. So then they start hitting buttons, and they're like, well, the buttons still aren't working. I don't know what's wrong. I was like, well, did you turn it on? Like, have you hit the on button yet? They're like, no. I was like, well, you need to hit the on button to turn it on. And then it finally comes on, and then they're like, okay, we're still seeing Sling TV. Why is it still on this? I was like, you need to switch it to the input, which means you either need to hit the button that says input and then navigate to the DVD player, or it might be you might have to hit the home button, and there might be a way to navigate it that way. And they finally figured it out, and they're like, oh, it still works. And I'm just like,
I can't get over the fact that they thought on was an optional step.
Yeah.
Like, if you think you can just skip straight to play, why do you think they put the on button on the remote?
And that's the thing. Like, my mom's whole thing is like, well, how would we know that? And it's like, Mom, this isn't a new system or like new technology. Like, computers and electronics have had on buttons since their beginning. You need to turn
right. They've never not had on
to like. right? Like, just God. So
Maybe this is
man.
the trouble of living in the age of things like Alexas that just quietly live in the back of your life forever.
Yeah.
You gotta tell her to become on, so that you don't forget that on is a way.
Yeah,
A way to be.
I have no idea.
And a way
But
not
that
to
was
be.
that's my story. So
Wow.
enough with that. Melissa, let's get on to all the exciting stuff this week, because I know we got a lot to talk about. There's
It's
so
party
much.
time. So earlier this week, we got one major piece of news. And I'm like, what great news. That's surely enough to last me for several weeks. But no, like some sort of a Hanukkah miracle.
Right.
Which I don't celebrate, but I acknowledge that it is Hanukkah now. I think it's night 2 of Hanukkah.
I think
There's
so.
extra things. You thought there was one thing, and there's more things.
And so it's not just all the, so to, I guess, give some context, Disney had one of their, I guess, like investor calls. I don't know if that's exactly what it was, but it was some kind of presentation.
Yeah, it was like Disney Investor Day. Yeah. That they're doing virtually now, instead of it being in a conference room in Anaheim somewhere.
Yeah. And so they just had a slew of announcements and new trailers, and we cast this person, and this director is directing this thing, and this show will be out on that date. And it was everything from Star Wars to Marvel to just like Disney classic stuff to Pixar stuff. There's a ton of stuff. That same
I went through
day
their Twitter. They even have like
was the Game Awards. And there was a whole bunch of Nintendo news that like the Game of the Year stuff got announced. All the like best actor in video game, all that stuff got announced. Sephiroth is in Smash. He killed Mario. It's canon that Sephiroth killed Mario.
Hold on.
Exactly. But still, like just all sorts of crazy stuff.
How?
With a giant
sword. With a sword?
Giant sword.
Okay. Where?
In the sky.
You have to clue me this.
I actually haven't watched it yet. So I saw a picture on Twitter, and it's just Sephiroth with his like 16-foot long sword that I feel like he's compensating for something with. But he has just like stabbed Mario with this like skewer. Like it looks like a Mario kebab. But Sam is saying, well, no, actually he didn't. But yeah, so I haven't watched it yet because Cyberpunk 2077 is also out. So I've been playing that nonstop.
Kyle,
so
there's too much information in this episode. I just Googled how did Mario die, and Google is giving me results for sometime Luigi died. And I didn't know that happened.
Yeah, that
happened. I have a lot to catch up on.
And his soul left his body, because he got his yeah. They all got murked.
Well, they'd better both be okay in time for that theme park to open.
They'll be fine. So yeah, they're just like everything happened on Thursday, and I was just like, oh my god, what is going on? Too much stuff. Big day indeed.
Right, all this news was popping off while I was watching that podcast live stream. Like I can't pay attention to a Loki trailer and Paget Brewster at the same time.
So let's dive in. I think we need to start with the Marvel stuff because that's also kind of how we have it listed here. Let me read through most of this, or do how about this? Let's you and I switch off the like main bullets. Does that work? So you'll do one, and I'll do one, all that stuff. So I'll read this first one here then, which is all about some Marvel casting news. I conveniently grouped them all together. One of the big ones is Alfred Molina is back as Doc Ock. as Dr. Octopus in Spider-Man 3 something something home. We don't know what it's titled yet. Wild stuff.
I literally cried when I read this news.
Great stuff.
Because this is one of my favorite performances in film, the entire world of film.
Yeah.
And the fact that I get to see it again
Great.
is such a tremendous gift to me.
Great stuff.
I spent Thanksgiving as Hanksgiving. I wanted to watch a Tom Hanks movie, and I wound up watching The Da Vinci Code. Because I'm like, oh, Europe, museums. It'll feel like I'm taking a vacation when I've just been inside all day. And he's in it. Alfred Molina plays like some cardinal in the church. And I'm looking at him, and I'm like, do you have the best face, like, ever? He's got the most compelling face I think I've ever seen. Right? Like, he's just sitting there kind of neutral, and I'm like, I'm so compelled. I want to watch him do everything. He's got my whole heart.
I'm not super familiar with his other stuff. Like, I only know him from Spider-Man 2 from the, like, Tobey Maguire films. Like, that's what I know him as. Doc Ock from that. I don't know him in anything else. But
he's in that movie Chocolat. He's good in Chocolat.
Chocolat. I don't know.
Chocolat.
But let's see. After that, they confirmed that Tatiana Maslany will be She-Hulk. She will be Jen Walters. I know there was some confusion with that, where like it kind of got leaked that she was playing that, and then she eventually denied it, and then that was the last we heard for a while, and then it was like, and then now it's like, no, she's confirmed she is playing She-Hulk. So that is fantastic. Sam says, I swear Melissa's internet is making her sound like the here in my garage with my Lamborghini YouTube poop. I have no idea. Yeah, we're having some
my internet still messing
issues. Yeah, it's been.
I don't know what to do about it.
You can't do much.
What do I do?
The only thing you really can do is research if you can get better internet, but that's it. And even then,
I'm gonna do it.
It happens every so often. Like, I still get times where it just doesn't work. So who knows? But moving on. So yeah, I'm excited about Tatiana Maslany. Christian Bale. We knew that he was cast in Thor 4, Love and
Yes.
Thor, Love and Thunder. It has been revealed that he is playing
number is implied.
Gore, the God Butcher. Which now I'm very excited for that. Because that is one of the villains from Jason Aaron's run on the comic. In like the first 2 volumes, and I guess he comes back later on, kind of. But yeah, he's a more recent major villain for Thor. We covered those first 2 volumes of Jason Aaron's Thor on the Whatnauts podcast a long time ago. It was me and Paul.
Many years.
So you guys can go find that on our website, thewhatnauts.com. So that's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Exciting stuff.
Interesting villain. I'm excited to see anybody named God Butcher.
Gore, the God Butcher. Yeah. So there's that, and then there's Xochitl Gomez, I believe is how you pronounce her name. I looked it up on YouTube.
I've also heard it.
Yeah. And she is going to be playing America Chavez in the new Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness movie. Now, America Chavez is another one of these recent Marvel characters, like a much younger character. I haven't read any of her comics. I've read maybe 1 or 2 things with her. I know she was very popular with like people who were very left leaning, as well as like the mainstream that didn't read as much comics. It was like she is this like queer, I think Latina woman, like this younger woman, and so it was just this thing of like, yeah, there's this new wave in comics of like younger, more hip queer characters and stuff like that. So that stuff is all good and fine and dandy. That's exciting. But one of her powers is that she's strong enough to punch holes in the fabric of reality.
What? Wow.
So, again,
I knew she
multiverse
had, like,
of madness and Spider-Man 3 having Doc Ock and Electro from all of these different Spider-Man continuities and stuff is like, the multiverse is truly mad right now.
It absolutely. Like, I watched a video about her. It did say that she had like dimension hopping powers. It did not say that she did this by punching. I think that sounds fun. This actress was in that Netflix Babysitters Club series.
That's what I saw.
That I watched earlier this year. She's delightful. I'm excited to see her get another major role.
Good stuff. The YouTube video that I saw of her pronouncing her name was basically her just writing those books. The Babysitters Club. She sat down and was like, "Hi, my name is Xochitl Gomez, and I'm gonna read." She had the book, and like, I'm gonna read chapter 7, and she, just started like, so there I was with blah 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 blah, and I was like, okay, cool. So yeah, and then we got confirmation, and we got pictures, on-set photos of Haley Stanfield as Kate Bishop in Hawkeye. So I'm excited about that. They're doing a Hawkeye TV show, and I kind of hope they pass the torch onto her. This is kind of perfect timing because in the video game world, there is a recent Marvel's Avengers video game, and they just released Kate Bishop as a playable character in that. So that was good for them. I'm excited. She also goes by Hawkeye. She is not like Lady Hawkeye or the Hawkeye-iss or stuff like that. She is Hawkeye, but she takes up the mantle of Hawkeye, if that makes sense. So
that's nice. I don't think that had been specified to me before. I knew she was approximately Hawkeye. I did not know she was exactly specifically by name Hawkeye.
Yeah, another bow and arrow character. But she is super badass as well. And then last but not least, I actually don't know who this actress is. Dominique Thorne will be has been cast as Riri Williams, aka Ironheart. Which we will mention again in a little bit just down the road. But this is Riri Williams, for those of you who don't know, is a young college student who basically made an Iron Man suit in her dorm. In the comics, not like an actual real life thing. But yeah, that's who she is. And Tony Stark found out and was like, "Holy shit, you're a genius, huh?" And she's like, "Yep, basically." And so now she is like one of the next Iron Man characters, and she goes by the name. She goes by the name Ironheart. So good stuff with that.
I'm excited to meet all of these new friends.
Yeah. It's like Miles Morales and Kate Bishop and Riri Williams and Miss Marvel. Like they're all the like younger, newer heroes and stuff like that have been taking comics by storm. Stuff like that. So that's a whole bunch of new
that's good to hear
stuff.
that. Yeah, it warms my heart to know that comics have been working on bringing in newer characters and that they've really paid off. Like, people legitimately like them, these new young versions of these older characters they grew up with, and they're like getting film and TV adaptations like very promptly. And my niece is 4. It's exciting to learn that she's going to have all these little heroines to watch when she's like a little bit older and ready for more like action adventure shows.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's going to like them.
Yeah, and it's neat because Marvel Comics has never really been good at legacy characters. That's usually always been DC Comics' thing. So the fact that they're finally doing it and doing it right, because they've tried before, but things have just never really stuck in Marvel Comics. It always just goes back to Peter Parker is Spider-Man, the ones like that's them. But they've finally started to get some of this stuff right, and it's just like, okay, I like where this is going. So
good job.
Next up, Melissa, you got this one.
I get the trailers section.
Woo.
Starting in chronological order, we have another trailer for WandaVision that comes out January 15th, just practically a month away. Yeah, this trailer, it didn't include anything very different than the previous trailers that we have seen. But one bit that I thought was interesting, and I watch the New Rockstars YouTube channel. That's where I get all of my breakdowns on stuff like this. There's very little I have that is my own conclusion. I just repeat it from there and tell people to also go watch them. They did point out something interesting, which is that you hear like a voice talking to Wanda through like whatever glitchy alternate reality she's in. And it's like, Wanda, you let us through. Who's doing this to you? And the video pointed out like whoever is on the other side of this, they want to help Wanda. And I'm like, that's good to know. Going into this, the people will, I imagine they will naturally be frightened by Wanda, but they are ultimately on her side and want to help her.
I don't know. Like because I read that as someone put her in this thing, as like she is trapped there. So there is someone on the outside who does want to do her harm.
But she does have other allies.
Yeah, there is also someone else who has found her or like is trying to speak to her through something. It sounded like that was Vision saying it, but I don't know. I could be wrong on that. We'll have to wait and see. But that looked good. Where it really started out like that, those old like 1950s like sitcoms, and they nailed it. And then
your monkeys playing.
Yeah, and they get updates, so it's like, okay, now it's more like the 70s style sitcoms or 80s style sitcoms, and then things get more and more like up to date. And I guess as it does, it gets more and more like something is wrong here. Like this isn't this is not real life. Like this is all made up somehow. It's all fake.
Yeah, and it seems like the Halloween episode is when they start to really think something is going on. Yeah. We have to do something. Something's wrong. And that is a section that looks fairly contemporary. So maybe these TV show tropes that they're living in will take them all the way to the 2010s.
Yeah. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I was a big Nick at Night kid growing up. So I'm excited for this show in particular.
Oh, indeed. And that one is the first episode of that, because they're doing it weekly as well, is coming out January 15th. So as the Mandalorian finishes up, I think we have like a week or two until WandaVision starts up. And then I guess that brings us directly into this next one here.
Falcon and Winter Soldier premiering March 19th, my dad's birthday.
Nice. Yeah, I was excited because we haven't seen really anything from Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Very little. He throws the shield at a tree.
Yes, something like that. We got an actual trailer. This looks good. There are some comics that I think this is very, very loosely based on. I haven't read them, so I don't know how much they're actually pulling from. But yeah, there was a time where Falcon ends up becoming Captain America, and it deals a lot with, like I said, with legacy and like what does it mean to now take up the mantle of Captain America, especially as a black man in the time we live in now? Like, what does that mean? So, I think there's gonna be some great stuff in that.
Yeah, very cool looking action in this trailer. That scene at the end with Sam just zipping around a canyon was amazing. And talking about these legacy heroes, I'm glad we're going to get so many that are so many different ages. Like, we've got all these teen ones, and then I'm glad they've got 30-something-year-old Sam Wilson, who's like, I'm in the same boat as you. I also don't know what I'm doing, taking on this new title a previously honored hero has had. So I hope he gets to be like, like the team leader, like the scout troop dad.
Just imagine the next Avengers film where he has like Miles Morales and Kate Bishop and all these like youngsters like flying around. He's just like, hold on, I can't. I'm not a super soldier like he was, guys. Like,
I'm just a guy.
Like these youngins with all their energy,
regular man speed. Yeah.
Ooh, man, hyperventilating.
We also got a trailer for.
God.
And then we got a trailer for Loki. It says May 2021 here on our list. So it looks like they're really moving along at a clip next year. That's kind of exciting that we'll get a lot of things kind of one right after the other. Next year is going to be jam-packed, and I look forward to it. This was a very exciting trailer, especially because we didn't hardly know anything. Well, we knew the basic premise of the show, but like aesthetically...
Like
we had no clue.
We still, I mean, even after this trailer, well, I guess this explains a lot. But besides this trailer, like, we basically only had theories of like, we knew it was gonna be Loki when he got the cosmic cube in Endgame, and what happened to him when he poofed out of existence there and came back, right? Like that's all we knew. And we're like, oh, he could do this and that, and he could go on his own thing, and I know. This looks interesting.
Yeah, this looks great and very weird.
This is the one I know the least about.
Right, and like you get the basic premise, like, oh, it's Loki, the god of mischief, traveling through time, but like
space.
Who are his actual foes? What are the actual goals? Yeah.
So I didn't know who the TVA was. The
Time Variance Authority.
And I had to have someone explain that to me, who was like, you wouldn't know that in Marvel comics unless you've been like a really, really dedicated, long time Marvel comics writer. But yeah, so it looks like he's hopping around through time and space and meeting a bunch of different cultures and going to different planets. And there was one scene that looked oddly like inside the Soul Stone. Like we maybe saw Black Widow in there, but people didn't know if that was her for sure. They were like, I don't know.
Well, you see the silhouette of a woman, and it looks like Natasha's, the hair from like the first two Avengers
movies. Not her most
classic,
recent hairstyle.
Most recognizable hair. Exactly. That's not how she looked when she plummeted to her death, on the planet Vormir. I have seen, again, just from New Rockstars, I just transmit the words Eric Voss says, but they were talking about how there's this woman cast in the show for an unknown role, and it seems like that may be a Lady Loki.
Okay.
And, that woman we saw in silhouette
could be
maybe Lady Loki, and just because of the lighting, it looks like she's got this Natasha red hair.
If they do that, to be honest, if she is a Lady Loki, I would kind of be disappointed. So here's some background. Loki is a shapeshifter, if you guys did not know that. So there are some comics out there where Loki is female presenting. I would have loved to see Tom Hiddleston in drag. Wouldn't that have been great?
I like both options.
That would have been interesting
And heck, if we're going through all these different timelines, maybe we'll get several variants of a Lady Loki.
That might be it, right? That might be how they explain it, with just like, hey, here's a different version of you. Like, you are now out of time and space. And I know people have also been theorizing that this may be one of the introductions of Kang the Conqueror, because dimension and time travel. Kang the Conqueror does not like time travel, and I'm assuming that's who the Time Variant Association, whoever they are, is hoping to avoid. Something like that.
I'm really looking forward to this. I love Loki.
D.B. Cooper?
Yes! I love that this is one of the things they're throwing into the show. One of Loki's misadventures is that D.B. Cooper was him the whole time.
Yeah, that scene was sweet because he jumps out of the plane and he's like, Heimdall, I hope you're ready. And he jumps out and he hits him with the beam from like midair. Great. Chef's kiss. That was awesome.
Truly excellent. And another amazing mysterious Easter egg in this trailer is that bit at the very end where he shows up and he's wearing like the Loki for President button. Yep. In the background of whatever room that he's in, there is a Polybius arcade cabinet.
Oh, I missed that. Okay.
I didn't even see it the first time. Again, this was something New Rockstars had to point out to me, but I'm so excited.
That's awesome.
In our recent Patreon bonus episode from Crossplay, where we talk about video game urban legends, I don't know anything about video games, but I love Polybius. And I did a deep dive to summarize all the facts on Polybius.
Yeah, which you guys can get at patreon.com/the Whatnauts at our $3 tier. Go check it out, because that was a lot of fun. But yeah.
So this will prime you for all your Polybius knowledge.
That was...
Also, I want to say...
Go ahead.
This has something we've also talked about before, one of my very favorite elements in sci-fi. A giant room. Yep. They're just a big cosmic atrium. One of my favorite things. You see this elevator, and Loki and Owen Wilson are in the elevator going down all of these floors. It looks so cool. Then I found out that's like a shot of a real hotel. It's like the Atlanta Marriott. And I'm like, I've seen pictures of that hotel. I've got it on one of my architectural Pinterest boards. I just didn't recognize it at that angle. It looks so sci-fi. And maybe they did alter it a little bit. But
doctor it up,
That's just like a place we can go. We're not that far from Atlanta.
I've been to Atlanta before.
We can go to the Time Variance Authority. I'd love to work there.
So the thing that I was gonna say, you mentioned it. There is this shot of Loki at the end there in this suit, and he has this sticker on his lapel that looks like a political like vote sticker, of just like, hey, vote now, or vote for this person or stuff. And if you guys did not know, there was a comic from like late I guess from in 2016, from June to August. It's a 4-issue miniseries called Vote Loki, and it's about Loki running for president, and it's supposed to be a like political satire on the 2016 election when Trump won, where he is just like, I can fake my way into this whole thing and lie and all of that, and they'll believe me. And that's unfortunately what happened. Yeah, that was interesting that he's in that like his outfit from that comic and has the political attire and the like head piece. I immediately was like, I've seen that before. Interesting. Huh. So, that is another little Easter egg for y'all on that one.
Yeah, I'm excited to see all his wacky hijinks and where he ends up as a character at the end of this narrative.
Yeah. It'll be interesting.
Next, we have What If, which I don't know if we have a date for, but approximately in the next year. Yeah. What If is the animated show hosted by Jeffrey Wright as Uatu the Watcher, just showing you it's the stories you know, but different. What if instead of giving the American super soldier serum to Steve Rogers, they give it to Peggy Carter, and she's like a Captain Britain, but not the Captain Britain like you might know from X-Men comics, like a different one.
There's all sorts of stuff of like, what if instead of Peter Quill becoming Star-Lord, what if it was T'Challa? That one was amazing.
Yeah. I'm very curious about that one, if they've like taken several steps back into T'Challa's history, like, no, Ego still is his dad, or if it's like, yeah, Yondu came down to Earth and just grabbed completely the wrong boy. And it was so good to hear Yondu's voice again. Yep. I love Yondu.
Yep. I'm Mary Poppins, y'all. It's great.
Yes.
So like there's all sorts of what ifs. We saw some like Marvel Zombies stuff, which, fun fact, there is a Marvel Zombies comic book out there written by Robert Kirkman, creator of The Walking Dead. That we did. So we mentioned the what if T'Challa becomes Star-Lord. Recently in the comics, they did a storyline called something like the Intergalactic Federation of Wakanda. And yeah, they go to space and they start this like intergalactic federation thing. So
nice.
I don't know what's up with that, but that's neat. But yeah, all of these like, what if this instead? And the animation looked great.
And like, it looks cool. Awesome. It's very
It looks
pretty.
reminiscent of
and like
the into the Spider-Verse, but it's not that same style.
Yeah.
It's similar.
Yeah, it's not as intense as that is.
But it's not it's not animated on the twos. It looks maybe a little more cell shaded, but it looks really good. So I'm excited about that. That looks awesome.
I'm excited to see what all is in here.
So good.
There's one bit that looks like it's like Doctor Strange fighting an evil Doctor Strange.
Doctor Stranger.
I couldn't figure out exactly what it was, but I love Doctor Strange.
Danger. Yeah.
And then that's the end of our trailers. We got a sizzle reel for Miss Marvel, just like interviews with people. I think a couple non-revealing shots of the footage they've had. Yeah. I look forward to this one. It seems very charming.
I'm excited. I think they did also mention that she was going to be in one of the coming movies. I don't remember which one they said.
Yeah, she's going to be in Captain Marvel too.
Gotcha. Yes.
Yeah, like a lot of this was confirming things we suspected. They're saying for sure, yes, Miss Marvel and older Monica Rambeau are going to be in Captain Marvel too.
Great. Monica Rambeau in that. Speaking of that, Marvel's Avengers video game that I mentioned not too long ago, the game has not done well for reasons I won't get into on the show, but the single player campaign is actually pretty good. Go check it out, at least for that. And it's all about Miss Marvel. Like, she's the main character, and she is delightful.
She seems fun to play in a video game.
She's delightful. She's great. So
she's stretchy.
Yeah.
She's got a scarf and a big fist.
She can embiggen.
So I think are the only two things you need to get by in life. I think that's what Teddy Roosevelt said, is you need to carry a scarf and a big fist.
There you go.
All right. Do you want to take the section on the new shows, and then do you want me to finish this off with movie news?
Yeah, sure. We can do it that way. So coming up in the new shows, the one I think I am most excited about, Secret Invasion.
Whoa! Yeah, I think this is going to do so well as a series. I think it's been thrown out as a movie. I love the idea of watching this unfold episode by episode.
Yeah, we had some thoughts that this was maybe going to be one of the Avengers movies, but that didn't happen. And we know that the Skrulls are there. They have been there for a long time. and stuff.
Who
like
knows
that.
who has been a
Yeah.
scroll?
So that's gonna be interesting. But yeah, that's the thing. I don't know how exactly that's gonna work. Because they did position the Skrulls as the good guys in Captain Marvel, and we know that that's ultimately really not the case in the comics. So it might be a terrorist organization, like an extremist group
It might just be
within
like
the Skrulls.
yeah.
Um,
Scrolls can be a lot of different
Yeah.
things. You may have ally scrolls and enemy scrolls.
Yeah, but yeah, that to me is what it looks like. I think I think we're gonna see Fury and what was his name? Talos?
Talos, yeah. And it seems like
And
I
Ben
think
Mendelsohn's character. I think they are out
yeah.
in space.
I think,
think they've established Sword. I think we're gonna get to see Abigail Brand for the first time, which is gonna be interesting, especially when they eventually introduce the X-Men, because Sword in the comics is usually more X-Men adjacent. Which is a strange thing considering that they are like Earth's defense against aliens and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
they are the Sentient World Observation and Response Department.
I believe so. Yes. Yeah. Nailed it.
Yes.
So after that, so you have a note here that said that this was probably the Fury project that they had mentioned.
There was we mentioned like a month or two ago that there was going to be an upcoming Disney Plus show that centered around Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury.
Yeah.
And I think I saw like concept logos around that just said Fury, because I imagine that's probably what they would call it. But nope, it seems to be
Too
this.
fast. Oh, Fury.
Which I'm excited for. Because the unifying factor between all of the different stuff we're covering today, all the Marvel, all the Star Wars, all the other Disney stuff, is that the titles of these projects are just very plain. Just the name of the character who's in it.
This is gonna be a really, really good buddy cop show about like the older surly Nick Fury, just like done with everyone's shit, and Talos, who is just this like oblivious idiot. and
he's just delighted by human Earth, wants to drink a soda.
And he's just this is gonna be 21 Jump Street, but them discovering this like secret alien plot to like take over all of these heroes and stuff. This big conspiracy to like do all of that.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be great.
I'm excited to see like what forgotten minor characters show up, like, oh yeah, Spider-Man's principal has been a Skrull the whole time.
Yeah, good. So then next up we have an Armor Wars show. This is a War Machine centric show.
I'm excited. I love Rhodey. And when the Phase 4 lineup was announced, I remember hearing people say, these all look great. Where's Rhodey going to fit in? It doesn't seem like he would apparently be in any of these things. And I quite enjoy him.
I could see him showing up in Falcon and Winter Soldier, right?
Yeah, but I'm happy he's got like a starring project for himself. This is a title and a concept I was not familiar with. So this was a true surprise for me.
So this is also borrowing the name of a comic. It's a Iron Man centric event. It's not one of their big event books, but more of like, hey, if you like the Iron Man comics, all of those all the ones that are like tangentially, that will all tie in for that stuff. I haven't read it, so I don't know exactly what it's about, but it sounds like it's the show is going to be about like what happens when Stark Industries falls into the wrong hands. So yeah, now that we are post Endgame and Tony Stark is no longer around, like that's kind of one of those things of like, okay, well, what happens to Stark Industries? Like his kid isn't old enough yet, right? I know Pepper she went on to not to. What did she do? No, I'm thinking of.
She's doing business things, but I imagine, she can't be everywhere.
We got a scene. Am I mixing up Pepper with Maria Hill? There was that scene with like Maria Hill interviewing someone, or it might have been Pepper. They were at an interview. I don't remember what it was off the top of my head now. God, that's killing me that I don't.
There is
no,
I think there's a scene at the end of way back in Winter Soldier where it's kind of the aftermath of like S.H.I.E.L.D. breaking up, and like they think Nick Fury's dead, and it's like, all right, well, where do we go with our lives now? And like we see Maria like in an interview like she's going to take a civilian job. Is that what you're thinking of?
It might be that. Yeah.
I don't know.
But
what
I'm
excited about with this show, besides just Don Cheadle himself, is that we've been talking about legacy. We've been talking about like these young people, relatively young when speaking about Sam, but like people who have just met these heroes or have known them for a couple years. I think Rhodey's going to give us a really interesting perspective in that he's known Tony for a long time.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we've got as many long-held relationships in the Marvel universe that we've been dealing with. Most of these people have met each other like a handful of years ago.
Yeah.
But for him, it's been like 20 years.
And
just to have that deeper perspective on it.
Yeah.
I'd like to see.
He has a very different perspective, and I know he also doesn't want to be the next like Tony Stark. Like he doesn't want to be. I don't think this is going to be about him trying to wrestle the company away from someone so that he can be in charge. I think he wants ultimately nothing to do with it, right? He just want like look, this is not how it's supposed to be. You're messing up the legacy of my friend. We need someone else in there. Like he's more like he has a reverence for it, if that makes sense. But I think this will also be a good way to potentially introduce Riri Williams, who will also get her own show in Ironheart. So I'm excited about that one as well. I kind of already mentioned her character, but yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see just this young college girl. She's a black woman, and she just decides one day, you know what? I'm gonna make myself an Iron Man suit, a functional one, and she does.
Yeah.
And it's not like
and I think
it's not like a, well, I guess it kind of works. Like, I don't know, like she makes an Iron Man suit. Like, holy shit, how did you make that?
Exciting. Yeah. And I believe she's an MIT student, but what I was learning about her is that she's from Chicago. And the MCU rarely goes to the Midwest.
Chicago,
so
man.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah, good stuff. And then last but not least, they announced I Am Groot, which you all know as everyone's favorite tree. So everyone's favorite little chubby baby Groot will star in a series of shorts on Disney Plus featuring several new and unusual characters. So this just seems like what?
So
I guess like an anthology series of like shorts.
Fun, probably family-friendly stuff. I really have no concept of what it is beyond that one sentence I copied off Disney's Twitter.
Like Baby Groot is Marvel's version of Baby Yoda, right? This is like he's so little and he's cute. Look at him dancing. He's so cute. Oh my god. And yeah, like I'm excited to see him just have his own show, because like despite him being a baby, he wasn't helpless. If like that's not the right word, but like right, like he's out there dancing and having a good time and just being like da 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 do da 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 da, you know.
Everyone loves.
And
being that he is now a teen, you know, perhaps soon to become an older Groot again. I'm curious where this fits in, if this is canonical at all, if this is supposed to be anywhere.
I don't know if this is. I wonder if this is just like animated shorts, not in continuity. Like here's one where Groot meets Man-Thing. Or here's one where Groot meets the Thing, right? Like tree versus
I bet him
rock.
and Squirrel Girl would be good friends.
Yeah. That'd be a great one.
This would be a nice way to work in some lower tier, but beloved and strange Marvel characters.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. So yeah, that's kind of about that. So I guess are you gonna do these last 3 wrap up ones?
Yeah, I'm gonna close it up with
stuff?
this movie news. Let's continue off of I Am Groot. Guardians 3 coming 2023. We knew it was coming at some point, but really takes a load off my shoulders to have a year pinned to it now. I just gotta wait like 2 more years. Yeah. And then my friends will be back.
Mm-hmm.
And what's very exciting about this is that we are going to have written and directed by James Gunn, filmed alongside Guardians 3, the Guardians Holiday Special.
Yeah, which we were like, man, Guardians of the Galaxy really needs a holiday special like 2 weeks ago?
Right, yeah. And I hope that this will give me all of my Star Wars holiday special references that I need.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great.
I'm so excited. I'm so happy that like this is the property that they picked to do this and how they're doing it. Like, yep, we're just going to film it along with the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, her same director is writing and directing it.
It's smart.
What a delight. I'm excited for more news as it slowly trickles out about my Guardians. They're my favorites. I'm going to save the big one for last. Let's go on to Ant-Man and the Wasp. That next movie is titled, delightfully, Quantumania.
Welcome to WrestleMania. Right? No? Yeah? No? Okay.
It's time for Quantumaniacs.
Yeah. It's time for
Zany to the max is what that movie's going to be.
Yeah. I'm interested in this. It's going to be a quantum heist, I'm assuming, in my mind, in my head canon, based off of this title. Wasp and the original Ant-Man, I just blanked on his
dad.
Name. Yeah, Daddy Ant-Man. Don't think too hard on that. Is going to they're stealing Ant-Man. Is what they're gonna do. He's trapped in the quantum realm. He's stuck there. I'm wondering if he's met some kind of like civilization and maybe doesn't want to leave just yet or something. But like they need him on for something on the outside world, so they have to go steal him. They have to go steal Ant-Man. That's what I'm imagining in my
Bring him
mind.
Home.
Yeah. Like how do you steal Ant-Man? I have no idea.
I'm excited. These Ant-Man and the Wasp movies have been a lot of fun. I'm excited that they felt bold enough to name the movie Quantumania.
Right?
Like I said, I feel like a lot of the titles in this thing are awfully plain. Quantumania is a real dazzler. Sort of actually has having Dazzler in it.
They're getting funky.
What's the first X-Men we get is like just Dazzler. It's not even of the big ones. It's Dazzler. Yeah. We only have Dazzler for a while, so it's like, well, X-Men fans, you really have to enjoy the heck out of Dazzler.
Indeed.
And finally, something long suspected but finally confirmed, we are getting that Fantastic Four movie. I don't think we quite know where it slots in yet, but this will be directed by John Watts, director of the Spider-Man films.
Yeah, Fantastic Four.
Which is promising. Yeah, I'm excited for them.
I'm super stoked.
Yeah, we've developed quite a fondness for the Fantastic Four this year. Earlier on the review show, we read the first 10 issues of the original 1964 comic. And we listened to the Marvel's audio drama.
Yeah.
More talk of great audio dramas.
We
this is
still have no idea
promising for
exactly
me.
how they're gonna do it. If they're gonna do an origin story, if it's gonna be
Yeah.
in modern day, if it's gonna be a
Yeah.
period piece. We don't know anything yet. But yeah, I think
I would love a period piece.
John Watts has a good mix of like action and comedy and stuff like that will go
the
well
Spider-Man
with like
films,
a family adventure.
Yeah, the Spider-Man films, they've
That
been
makes
very funny, like very touching. I think the tone is balanced very well. There's so many fun supporting characters in Spider-Man. I'd like to see that carry through here. Like when we were reading the Fantastic Four comics, we're like, it's weird that they have no helpers or allies. Like it is just the four of them and then Alicia Masters. Like, does anybody else work in the Baxter building? Do you know anybody? Do you have any staff? I'd love to see that world filled out. And I think this is good news for Sue.
Yeah.
Because looking at these Spider-Man movies, I love MJ. I love Aunt May. They've got some great ladies in there.
Yeah.
Not that I think they would do a Sue wrong, but like when we were reading those old comics, it's like, boy, she really is just here to be a girl, huh?
Yep. Yeah, that's
I think the Sue will be vibrant
one at that. She's a good girl, but like, what if we make her not really there?
You remember from before when you saw her.
Yeah.
She's still there.
Yeah.
Just a dotted line now.
Indeed. So the last thing I will say about all this Marvel news, they haven't confirmed it, but there has been rumors going around that in the She-Hulk show, Charlie Cox will, or like in the She-Hulk show, or maybe in Spider-Man, we don't know. I don't know why they said Spider-Man, but that there will be other lawyers in this stuff, and so people are speculating that maybe we will see Charlie Cox back as Daredevil, or I guess as
I would like to see him again.
Yeah, as his lawyer persona.
Not Daredevil, only Matt Murdock.
So, which would be fun.
Yeah, it'd be good to see all of them again. You know,
back.
don't just bring him. Bring Foggy. Bring Karen, I think was her name. I liked that whole cast, even if it's been a long time since I've watched that show and I don't remember all of their names.
Yeah, that was it.
But bring them back. She-Hulk sounds like a good place to put him. I can see how he would fit into Spider-Man. Spider-Man may need legal representation after what J. Jonah Jameson did to him. But that movie seems like it's got very many plates to keep up in the air.
Yeah, indeed. Okay. Look, I think we've already been recording for an hour and a half. We still have a lot to get through. I think this is going to be a little bit longer of an episode, but I don't want to keep people too long.
But people know this is a busy week, and like
it is.
You know,
it is indeed.
We make our own path here. Our episodes are as long as our hearts need them to be.
It's end of the year. It's holiday season. I only have a week left of work in the calendar year, and then I get 2 weeks off. So, like, I'm in the mood to just be like, let's just do whatever we want. Fuck yeah!
Let's just chatter as much as we want. You know, we can't go out and see our families, so just you can listen to us.
Bear with
us. Talk about movies.
Talk about some Star Wars news. So there's also a bunch of Star Wars stuff here. So Melissa, I know you're not as big of a Star Wars fan, so I'm not sure how excited you are about most of this stuff, or if you know what most of this stuff is.
I did read up on all of these. I've got at least a passing familiar with most of these. Again, let me cite one of my sources. The Star Wars podcast Force Center is a great place whenever there's Star Wars news and I want some context for it. Yeah, they give me a great breakdown. They're delightful to listen to and very warm and open-hearted about what a big, messy, fussy thing Star Wars can be.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
Good stuff indeed. So yeah, they announced some new Star Wars shows. Again, all of the Marvel stuff and these Star Wars things will be on Disney Plus. So they've announced a shit ton of new shows and stuff, which is going to be awesome. we have Rangers of the New Republic, which I don't know exactly what that will be. It's rumored.
Yeah, these words mean almost nothing to me.
This is just gibberish.
Mm-hmm.
People are speculating that this is Gina Carano's show. She plays a character in The Mandalorian season 1, and everyone really, really liked her. And then there's been a lot of talk of like, oh, she's getting her own show, and they're working on that. So people are thinking this is that show, meaning she's probably gonna have some kind of rough and tumble group of bounty hunters doing bounty hunter things. So there you go.
Hunting bounties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then shout out to my girl Ahsoka, because we got an Ahsoka Tano show starring Rosario Dawson. She recently appeared in The Mandalorian as Ahsoka Tano, and it's perfect casting. I actually still haven't watched it yet. I'm a few behind. But
same.
God, Ahsoka is my favorite Star Wars character by far, and so I'm stoked that she now has her own show. It's gonna happen. It's great. I'm so excited.
Good.
Fuck yeah.
I am excited.
Yeah.
I love Rosario Dawson.
Indeed. They announced a Lando show. This is gonna be an interesting one because I don't know if I didn't see Donald Glover's name attached to this. I don't know when this is going to be, if they're gonna cast someone else who's like a intermediary who maybe looks more like the original Lando. Like, is that age?
Yeah,
range?
like
I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know when this will happen and how old Lando may be.
Indeed, yeah, that'll be an interesting one. But I'm excited about that because he's always a very, very charming character, very loving and charming. Or lovable. I don't know how loving he is because I've not actually met him. But yeah, I'm excited for that. Then they have one called The Acolyte, which this one I actually know nothing about. All I've heard is that they announced it.
I saw this described as a high court mystery thriller, and I couldn't tell you the narrative context of it because I don't understand Star Wars. I'm just here for big buildings.
Like, what does that word mean?
It's like a neophyte. It's like a newcomer into a group. It's like like you're training to be something.
Guy.
Like you're a new recruit to something.
Fresh meat, rookie.
I like the idea of it being a mystery.
Yeah, I'd be into that, like a Clue, but set in the Galactic Senate. That'd be interesting.
I can get in on that.
Interesting. Okay,
yeah, I think this might be the most exciting of these shows for me because not really having a sense of the context for any of these, just that premise is the most exciting to me, a layman.
Sure. They also announced Star Wars Visions, which seems to be an anthology of animated Star Wars shorts or like short films from Japanese anime creators. So this is going to be some anime Star Wars, and that sounds awesome. I would love to see what they come up with. If you guys have seen the Animatrix, it sounds exactly like that, which was great. So yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. Just animated Star Wars stuff. It's going to be great. Then here's one I'm super excited about. We got a new trailer for The Bad Batch, which, Melissa, I think this is one of the ones I'm sure you knew the least about. Like, what? The Bad Batch? What is this?
This seems to me like it's just the clone trooper version of the Transformers Wreckers.
Kind of.
Okay.
so Star Wars lore, they make a clone army, right? Every so often they would get one that's defective, right? And in the Clone Wars cartoon, there's a really well liked character in there who was basically the maintenance man at the clone like training station because he was defective. That actually might not be the right word, but I guess when you're talking about clones, it's we strange there. But yeah, he ended up like not being physically capable. He had a bit of a hunchback and stuff like that, and he couldn't fight, and he couldn't be out there with his brothers. And he ends up being this like really just like, oh, I like him. He's good. Like he's yeah. And so they have in the most recent and the final season of Star Wars Clone Wars that launched on Disney Plus, they introduced these new characters that called themselves the Bad Batch, and they are they're not defective. Again, I don't like that word, but they're more maybe on the spectrum. It is maybe more accurate, or maybe they had a little bit of a mutation, not like an X-Men thing where it's like, oh, now I have superpowers. It's not that much, but they are really damn good at what they do. Like the one thing, like if they, like their like sniper is like a stinking amazing sniper, because that is like the one thing he is good at. But they're also this like rough and tumble, like Rambo style, just like odd bunch. They don't really do the normal missions. They do the ones that basically everyone else would die at. They're basically the Suicide Squad.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense. Okay. But they don't have the
like a Suicide Squad, like an A-team.
Yeah, just like everyone else would die if they took on this mission. But hey, if we die, well, we were kind of defective anyway, so who cares? But they're also badass. So I'm thinking this is gonna be like Clone Wars style animation, but a much darker, grittier tone. That stuff that had some darker themes every now and then, but this looks like it's gonna be like, this is gonna be darker and stuff. So there's that. Moving on to casting announcements. Hayden Christensen playing Darth Vader in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. Wow, no one saw this coming. This is wild.
Makes sense though.
Yeah.
I'm excited, first of all, to get more news on this Obi-Wan Kenobi show. But yeah, I'm happy to see him return in this role. I know he's been maligned by some, and I'm happy to know that he's going to get another crack at it, like years later, in entirely different context. Yeah. Just him and Ewan McGregor at it again.
And it's going to be an interesting one because he doesn't need to play himself. He doesn't need to play Anakin. He's going to be mostly in the suit. He's going to be in the Darth Vader suit, so, right? Or like there might be some scenes where he takes off his helmet and stuff like that. But yeah, like to have an actor that was, I mean, Star Wars has a history of going after their actors that they don't like, or the fandom does, but he's basically all but disappeared from acting since this, right? So to see him back in this is like, hey, good for you, dude. Like I'm happy that you're back, man.
Get back on that horse.
Yeah.
Get back on that bantha.
Indeed. Last but not least for the Star Wars stuff, this I think is up there for one of my favorite announcements. Coming in December 2023 and directed by Patty Jenkins, they announced a Rogue Squadron movie. And Melissa, I am freaking out This is great. I wanted more Rogue Squadron stuff for a long time. It used to be a video game on N64
okay.
and on GameCube, Nintendo GameCube. And I loved those games. For the life of me, I couldn't really tell you what the plot of those things were, except for a squadron went rogue. And Rogue One is kind of the inspiration for them, like that, like when they were like, we're Rogue One. Like I think that legacy is what eventually leads to like, hey, we are Rogue Squadron. But yeah, it's gonna be like a dogfight movie. It's gonna be about X-Wings
and there was this
battling in space.
Yeah,
So,
and there was this beautiful little announcement video on Twitter where you see Patty Jenkins rollerblading. First of all, I don't know why I wasn't told she can rollerblade.
she's like,
She's
I like to go fast,
rollerblading
Ma.
across this pavement.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's like, I've always wanted to go fast. I grew up and my dad was a fighter pilot, and I'd like walk outside and I'd see him flying, above my head, and then he died in the service. And I've always wanted to tell the best fighter pilot movie ever made. And finally, I've got the right conditions to do it. And you see her, she's got her rollerblades and she like sits down in the back of a car and she's like out of frame.
Yeah.
You can tell she's like taking the rollerblades off and like changing clothes. And then she just pops on the helmet, slips up the arms of the orange jumpsuit. And she's like, I'm going to go make a Star Wars movie. Bye.
Yeah, and she walks off and there's an X-Wing like, back there. It's like, oh my God, this is great. I loved it. I'm so excited.
This would be a great premise to begin with, but to know that she's got such a personal passion for the type of story this is going to be
that's going to be great.
Something truly tremendous.
That's going to be great.
This is going to be wonderful.
Indeed.
What a powerful film we have to look forward to
I'm excited.
in 3 years.
So that's all the Star Wars stuff, but we have some other
You
Disney
want me to take it?
stuff here.
You want me to take miscellaneous Disney?
Yeah, most of this. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, do you want to start with Indiana Jones? Because I don't know anything about the man. I was just trying to. We were watching, and my brother James has got a little movie Discord where we watch a movie together every week, and we were watching The Mummy, and I was talking about how like I'd never clicked with that movie before, and I never liked Indiana Jones that much either, and I forgot the name of The Last Crusade, and I was like, I haven't seen the third movie. The dad one. They're like, what? And I'm like, the dad one with his dad and like the cups. The dad and the cups. I didn't have it at all. And I'm like, the name of that extremely famous movie?
With that actor that's also really famous. That played him. Who was also in another famous movie that I really like.
With the cups.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I know nothing about Indiana Jones if you want to take this one.
I meant some of these things to be more just faster paced of like, hey, they announced this.
We can burn through a lot of these.
So yeah, they're working on another Indiana Jones film. This new one will be directed by James Mangold, who recently made Ford versus Ferrari, which I did not see, but I've heard good things, so.
Yeah, a dad movie.
Yeah. And they announced
not the dad movie.
No. But they announced that Harrison Ford will be returning as Indiana Jones. So,
wowzers!
Wow, put him in a museum if you know what I mean. Guys, he just needs to sit down.
Right. I hope he is sitting for the majority of this film.
Yeah. I don't know.
It just sits and points.
Yeah.
You bring me that.
Good stuff. Do you want me to do this next one too? Since this was one.
Yeah, because I also no context.
So this is one of the shows based off of a comic book that has been in development hell for like more than a decade. They have, I guess, announced. I thought they announced it recently, so this might have been like, hey, we're actually ordering this to series or something. I'm not sure. But there is going to be a Why the Last Man show, which is a comic book that I really, really enjoy. It's written by Brian K. Vaughan, who also wrote one of my favorite superhero comics, The Runaways. He created that team. It looks like
Didn't
it's
he
going to be a
also,
collaboration between FX and Hulu. Is what I thought I saw.
That's cool. Didn't Brian K. Vaughan also work on Lost?
He did, yes. He also worked on Lost. I think he also did that Stephen King show where the town is inside that bubble. Do you remember that show?
Under the Dome.
Yes. I think he also worked on that. But yeah, he also writes a bunch of comics like The Runaways and Saga and Ex Machina and some stuff like that. He's one of my favorite creators. So yeah, that's what I'll mention for now, and then I have one down the road. It's the African one, if you know what I mean. Way down there.
Okay, you'll come back for that one towards the end. You wrote down something on here that is very pertinent to my interest, but that I didn't see when I was flipping through news.
Specifically for you, and I was like, I wonder if Melissa saw this because she hasn't mentioned it yet.
I didn't. People are sleeping on how great this might be. They're going to produce a Night at the Museum animated movie.
Yes. Great.
I have a weird soft spot for the Night at the Museum films. Like, I went through the Disney Twitter today looking for like details on all of these different updates, and like I added a bunch of notes here to kind of fill stuff out. I didn't see them mention this one. Maybe I missed it. There was a lot to look at, but I'm excited. I Googled this. I'm looking at something on the disinsider.com. Let's see, there's an animated movie for Disney Plus, tentatively titled Night at the Museum, Kamun-Ra Rises Again.
Great.
Kamun-Ra is the older brother of Rami Malek's mummy character who shows up in the second movie.
Interesting.
He is an interesting foe. And it says that the movie will center on the nervous and confidence-lacking Nick Daly, son of Ben Stiller's character Larry Daly, who is hesitant to follow in his father's footsteps as the night watchman of a museum that comes to life at night.
Oh man, that's great.
Which makes sense within the premise of the film.
For that.
Like, it's like a very special role that Larry has as like the keeper of the museum, knowing that everything comes alive at night. Of course, he brings his son in the museum. Learn about history with me live, son. Here's Teddy Roosevelt.
Right.
Here's a small cowboy and a small Roman soldier.
Wow.
But so it makes sense that he would pass this on to his son. But just imagine this college kid telling his friends, like, yeah, I'm excited to take my father's path in the business where he's made his life's work night guarding a museum. I'm next in the night guard legacy. Explaining this to an outsider, I want to see him try.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says we're going to see Jedediah and Octavius back, of course. Teddy Roosevelt's going to be back, previously played by Robin Williams. I suppose he'll be recast.
Mm-hmm.
Sacagawea's back. We're going to get to meet Joan of Arc.
Good. There you go.
Oh, it says the film isn't expected to bring back any of the aforementioned actors from the big screen trilogy. And they're looking for fresh takes on the characters.
Melissa, this is your chance. Sign up now. Be a voice actor.
I'm Jedediah now. Howdy, Gigantor.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I'm excited for this. I'm sure this will delight me and Jack. We love these.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how this will fare with the public.
Yeah.
So we've got that. We have a couple animated series based on some beloved Disney characters. We have Baymax.
Yeah.
We have Moana.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a Tiana show, which I'm very excited for. Yeah. She's my favorite princess. And I hope this is just about the business of a restaurant. Like it's just a restaurant-based drama.
There you go.
And I think we also had a Zootopia series.
I think so.
in there.
Yeah. I only wrote down Baymax because he's technically a Marvel character now.
Yes.
Kind of big. Hero 6 is a Marvel comic, and Pixar made an animated movie on that. There was a Stan Lee cameo.
Disney.
But
just Disney, not Pixar.
Oh,
plain
yeah.
Disney.
So they did all of that stuff. So good Baymax series. Hopefully that's a good one. I'm excited.
There has been a Big Hero 6 animated series that looks fun. I haven't heard from anybody who's watched it yet, so I'll have to check it out myself. Pixar, they've got some exciting projects coming up. They're going to do their first long-form animated series.
Yeah, good for them.
I think they have some shorts on Disney+. Forky asks some questions. But
Isn't
they
that
have
one
a
already out?
longer-form animated
Or are they doing more of
Yes,
that?
yes. I don't know. I've never seen it. I guess I should. I probably also need answers to whatever these questions are.
I think that's already out. They might be doing more of it though.
It is out.
Okay.
I just haven't sat down and watched it.
Gotcha.
So like they've done short programming. Now they're going to do seems like a full maybe like a 22-minute animated series. This is called Win or Lose. This show follows a middle school softball team in the week leading up to their championship game, and each episode is told from the perspective of a different character.
Interesting. Rashomon
Yeah,
baseball.
it sounds a little... Yeah, that sounds very down to earth. Like, that seems like a simple enough premise, and I'm very excited to see how they're gonna, really stretch the limits of that and fill that story out.
It's gonna be good. I bet we will cry. Ryder is so beautiful. I just
their next upcoming movie, this sounds like a tearjerker. I don't know a thing about it except for this. It is called Luca. It is coming June 2021. It is a celebration of the friendship between a boy named Luca and his best friend Alberto during their unforgettable summer.
Huh.
That sounds tragic.
That just sounds like guys
no
being pals. If you ask me.
No, this sounds like a Bridge to Terabithia situation where like it's going to be like a fun adventure, but there's like a secret tragedy like hidden at the end that's gonna like stab at you in the gut. Like one of them's going to die. Somebody's going to die in Luca. Something bad is going to happen. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But this feels tragic to me.
Okay.
So we'll see if that is true.
I took that as like they're gonna do like a young gay romance thing of just like, hey, like let's get some good representation in there with that stuff. But who knows?
Yeah, we don't know. It just says a boy named Luca and his best friend Alberto. I suppose we don't know who or what Alberto is.
Yeah, it could be.
It may
a
not
dog.
also be an adolescent boy.
Could be a dog.
It could
right?
be an old man. It could be a talking rock. We don't know who or what Alberto is.
Yeah.
So, lots, door left wide open there. We are getting another movie coming out next March after that, March 2022. This is from the director of that Bow short, and this is a movie called Turning Red. Meet May, I think. This didn't come with a pronunciation guide.
Is it
She
MEI?
experiences the awkwardness.
Yeah.
It's MEI. Is it May?
I believe that's May.
Okay, thank you. She experiences the awkwardness of being a teenager with an added twist. When she gets too excited, she transforms into a giant red panda.
Good. I like it.
The promo image looks super cute, and this is such an anime feel to me. Like you think about Ranma One Half or Fruits Basket or something.
Yeah.
So I think I'm excited to see this brought to the Western world, where I feel like we don't have many stories of turning into something that aren't like strictly horror related.
Yeah. I think it'll be good.
Like Dr. Jekyll doesn't turn into Mr. Hyde just when he's nervous. It's because a bad potion did that to him.
This next one is
Then
interesting
we have,
too.
yeah, a very intriguing project. I keep throwing out these dates. These are almost all certain to change, but just so that you
Sure,
know,
yeah.
at one time this film was scheduled for June 17th, 2022.
If they announced it as that date at this thing, I'm pretty confident that they'll hit that date, because if it would be delayed or they're unsure now, they might not have said, or they might have just given like summer or like fall, you know. But
Yeah.
the fact that they're just
I think this year has just made me skeptical that, like, I add 3 months onto any date that I see.
yeah, I agree. The only reason I'm saying that is we've now been in quarantine. Like we've now been in that life for so long that if you're announcing like new things this far in, you've probably already accounted for that. So who knows?
Yeah.
But
yeah. Well, but anyway, regardless of the date, the film is Lightyear. This stars Chris Evans as the voice of a young Buzz Lightyear. Oh, wait, no, this is... Hold on. I saw a promo image that looked animated, but this blip you have right here says this will be live action. So what was with that cartoon drawing I saw?
This is a live...
That was a cartoon.
Live action film starring Chris Evans as Buzz Lightyear. But it's about the quote unquote real Buzz Lightyear. The toy that you know from Toy Story is based off of his character, if that makes sense.
Okay.
It's like having a Buzz Aldrin action figure, right? And then they're making a movie about Buzz Aldrin. It's basically that, of like, hey, who is the real Buzz Lightyear? What is his story? Why did they make toys
I like
of him?
this idea. I like this casting.
Yeah.
I would love to see Chris Evans be a Buzz Lightyear. I was just a little, like, I swear I saw like a cartoon drawing, not like
Did you see
this is a,
screenshots of the old Buzz Lightyear cartoon, the Buzz Lightyear of Star Command cartoon?
I know what that looks like.
Because I saw those and I was just like, oh man, my childhood.
Maybe I'm confused. I'll trust whatever you copy pasted down here that we will see a live action Christopher Evans.
Yeah, because
I'm just going to run through a couple
that's what
more.
he tweeted.
Okay,
Sure, yeah.
okay. I must have gotten turned around. Maybe, maybe they can do a live action movie but promote it with an animated cartoon still, I guess. I can't think of another film that has done that, but you're certainly welcome to do so. You can show me a drawing and say, this will be a real man later. But until then, take this drawing and think about that. Here's just a smorgasbord of a couple other upcoming Disney movies. There's Robert Zemeckis' live action Pinocchio, starring friend Tom Hanks as Geppetto. I've been listening to the Blank Check podcast has been doing a Robert Zemeckis series lately, so nice. I'm intrigued by this just because now I'm very aware of that man's filmography. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. We're going to get a sequel to Enchanted, one of my favorite underappreciated Disney movies. Amy Adams is back as Princess Giselle for a movie called Disenchanted. Who knows what will happen to her? There is a mixed animation live-action Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers movie starring John Mulaney and is it Andy Samberg?
That's gonna be wild.
What a pair. I'm excited for whatever that is. And there's also going to be a Hocus Pocus 2 and a Sister Act 3.
I gotcha.
Just returning to the nice, warm, old, comfy sweater franchises.
Clarification on Lightyear. Pixar tweeted out, blasting into theaters June 17th, 2022, Lightyear is the definitive story of the original Buzz Lightyear, voiced by Chris Evans. Get ready to go to infinity and beyond with Lightyear. And then Chris retweeted it and said, I don't even have the words, and then put a new tweet on that and says, just to be clear, this isn't Buzz Lightyear the toy. This is the origin story of the human Buzz Lightyear that the toy is based on. So yes, you are right. It is animated still, but it is. It's not about Buzz Lightyear the toy. Still, if that makes sense.
Okay. No, no, that I understood. I just didn't understand why you wrote down live action.
Because
I saw a cartoon man.
I took that to be live action when I initially read that. But yeah, so I was wrong. I stand corrected.
Okay. Okay. Would you like to give us our final piece of news to round out this evening?
Yeah. So this is one that I think a lot of people are going to look over in a lot of circles, and this is a really interesting thing because So I'm reading an article from Bella Naja Naija, I believe, and it's entitled "An Animated Sci-Fi Series Iwaju by Nigerian Animators is Coming to Disney Plus." It says, for the first time ever, Disney Animation Studios is teaming up with Pan-African entertainment company Kugali and its founders Tolu, Ziki, and Hamad. I am going to butcher most of their last names, so I will stick with the first names. For a new sci-fi series, Iwaju, coming to Disney Plus in 2022. Iwaju translates to the future in the Yoruba language and is set in Lagos and steeped in science fiction, explores deep themes of class, innocence, and challenging the status quo. This immediately stood out to me because of Kugali. Believe it or not, I've been on their podcast. The Whatnauts have been on the Kugali podcast a long time ago. They invited me and Paul, my other co-creator here at the Whatnauts, to join them on the Whatnauts podcast. Or not on the Whatnauts podcast, to join them on their podcast and talk about some African comics with them. And they supplied us the issues that we had to read, and we just got to hang out with them and talk comics. But yeah, I at least got to meet and talk to Tolu and Ziki. I don't remember if I met Hamid. But yeah, I was just like, wait a minute, I know them, and I had to like look to see if this was actually them, and yeah, this is them. So wild stuff that we have a connection.
That's very cool
to them. So yeah, now this is absolutely on my radar, but this looks great.
I think it's, first of all, very intriguing that Disney is I feel like we've had like 5 adjectives we've been cycling through the entire evening. Disney teaming up with this other company who I'm not familiar with, but certainly sounds very exciting. Well, they're creating this.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like when we did the podcast with them, like I don't know if their company was that big then. Like they just seemed like they were just another like me and Paul. Like just like starting to do their own thing. They had their website. They were trying to get these African comics out there that, you know, to get more people, I guess, just knowledgeable in the fact that, hey, there is some like awesome stories and creators in Africa, and they don't really get the spotlight all that much. So yeah, I'm excited with that. And
I think it's this is this beautiful. I don't know if it's as simple to say that any African sci-fi story is Afrofuturism, but that is the word that comes to my mind as a layman when
Yeah.
looking at this concept artwork, it is beautiful. And I think it's great that even after we've seen Wakanda in all its technological majesty, that Disney's supporting the fact that there's room for more futuristic sci-fi Africa tales.
Yeah.
Like Wakanda doesn't have the monopoly on that. There's room for more people to come and play.
Yeah, I mean, so they have like some promo art or like some concept art. Yeah, if you are interested in the like African sci-fi stuff that you saw in Black Panther and Wakanda, this will be for you. So yeah,
Yes.
Good stuff.
Yeah, what a wide slate of a variety of things. So I was talking at the beginning of the podcast about my audio dramas and how I'm like, that's like Law and Order for me. And superhero movies are like that for me too. What I'm trying to say is that there's some genres that I love so much that speak to me so directly. Like, you can plug in whatever you want. I'm always going to be there. I'm always going to watch or listen to the entire thing. I'm on board for it, whatever it is you're doing. I love fake investigative podcasts, and I love superhero movies. So
Absolutely.
I'm excited for all of this. I think we've got a variety of things coming down the road, and just after such a dry spell this year, to get such a confirmation, like we've been working on things. There's a lot waiting for you. You just got to keep climbing up that calendar.
Absolutely. Yeah, so all of this stuff is why I'm so excited and I've been in such a good mood. So.
Yeah. It makes me feel very hopeful.
Yeah.
You know, that we have this much art, this much like very sincere personal art. It's going to bring us like old friends and entirely new things to see.
Indeed. Well, let's wrap things up there. Unfortunately, I know Sam mentioned to me that my microphone started sounding like I was underwater.
What?
Yeah, we're going to have to figure out what that stuff
Kyle
is.
confirmed for Namor.
Right. But yeah, so we'll wrap things up there. Let me run through housekeeping before we get out of here, and then we can go to bed because it's also late and stuff like that. So,
oh yeah, heck.
If you guys did not know, we have multiple podcasts here on the Whatnauts. If you guys want more information, that's on our website, thewhatnauts.com, as well as your favorite podcasting platform of choice. Just type in the Whatnauts and all of our shows will pop up right there. If you like what we do, patreon.com/thewhatnauts is where you can support us for as little as $1 a month. We mentioned our $3 tier where you can hear Melissa tell you the tale of Polybius on our Patreon exclusive crossplay episode that we did, where we shared like video game urban legends and scary stories and stuff like that, conspiracy theories and the like. But we have all kinds of exclusive content up there at the $3 tier, so go check that out. And last but not least, thank you to Sam, who has been with us here in the chat the whole time and always helps us out when there's like, hey, something's funky with the audio. That helps out a lot, but I just wanted to power through it for this one because we were all like at the end there. So we shall see how it turns out. So thank you so much, Sam. We appreciate it. You're always super helpful, and we love you a lot. So thank you.
Thanks, Sam.
Yeah. That being said, that's it. Melissa, where can they find you? Oh, actually, that's not it yet. One more thing. Next week is we will have our final episode of the Captain's Log for 2020. So we will be back in the new year. I don't remember exactly when we were going to record the first one.
Yeah.
But it should be like that first week or so in the new year. We will also have our 5-year anniversary retrospective. next weekend. That is going to be on Saturday. It's going to be on the 19th. The 19th. Oh boy, I don't know if I have nailed a time down yet. I don't remember. We will be announcing the time on our Twitter. So go follow us on Twitter, which is at the Whatnauts.
Yes.
On Twitter to stay up to date with all of that stuff. I have the hiccups now.
Oh,
Melissa,
no.
Where can they find you on Twitter?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram and Pinterest at Wilkywit. It's WILKYWIT. Listen to my other podcast, Saturday Morning Obscurities, where me and my brother Jams talk about weird old kids shows we're obsessed with or vaguely remember or have never seen at all.
Yeah.
This week's episode is one of those. We are watching The Wacky Adventures of Ronald McDonald, which was a series of VHS tapes you could buy only at McDonald's. They each contained one 30-minute animated adventure. And we hadn't ever watched these, but our friend Christina had. So she's our first special guest talking with us about The Hamburglar.
Nice. Good stuff. You guys can find me at Yo Kyle Springer on Twitter and Instagram. I already mentioned the Twitter for our show proper. So go like, share, subscribe. Go follow us here on Twitter. On Twitch, which is twitch.tv/the Whatnauts.
Yeah.
Hopefully our next live stream won't be as spotty as this one was or has been. But yeah, go follow us on twitch.tv/the Whatnauts. We're hoping to make it to 50 followers. We are at 42, I believe. So we are close. But that is just one of our next small steps, our small goals. So help us out. That would be wonderful. But that being said, we will be back next week with episode 124 of the Whatnauts Captain's Log. This has been number 123. We'll be back. Till then, bye.
Bye.